just a quick review on this thing. So a lot of times this rinse pump still works, the motor still works, but it's leaking and shooting water out and causing all kinds of trouble. A lot of times you can just sneak a small screwdriver in here, and you could, little one like this, even while it's still installed, and you could tighten up all these little screws. There's a flat O-ring inside this this pump housing, and when these get loose over time, it'll start leaking and all kinds of other stuff. You can just tighten those up and they're good to go. It's some of these are, you can get a Phillips head in there. Sometimes you'll see a star type in there, so you've got to get one of those security bit sets to take those off. But a lot of times on some of these motor housings, pumps, whatever, you could take these off and save them and put them on a different one when the motor works and the housing is leaking. A lot of different scenarios. It's always good to keep a lot of these older ones for future repairs to just get you by. Okay, so here we are next to the wash motor, and you can see that this manifold is cracked and beginning to fall apart. This is what damaged the motor. See all this rust on here, and when that thing goes bad or gets loose, it just shoots the water right at it. And our goal now is to get it out, and we could remove these two guys by just getting a small screwdriver in here and just disconnecting these hose clamps, and then we'll take that off and then just pull this thing straight down and put a new one. You see these things are deteriorated, or you see this crystallized detergent or sanitizer, you know this thing is on its way out. You could tell by the discoloration, and these things should be a real hassle to get out sometimes. They don't want to let go of these hoses, so that's something you got to put a little hook in there as well and just kind of break the seal before you get it out. But we're getting close to taking this guy out, and our next step will be to get the hose clamps off. And it looks like someone didn't point them towards us when they installed that, so they're facing in a different direction, which is likely towards the back of the machine. And we'll put a big screwdriver to the back in this direction, and we'll remove those hose clamps that are holding that black hose right there, because we will need to take that off in order to get this out. All right, so also don't forget to disconnect the rinse probe from its little guy, also labeled and shaped. Obviously it's not going to be able to connect into too many places, and if you're going to remove the whole, if you're going to remove it with the rinse manifold in one shot, disconnect it from this clamp right there, so it'll just come right out. It's just those pinch types. See if we can get this thing out of there. Sometimes these things are more irritating than anything else. See if I can scooch the wiring just out. I think I might have gotten it. There it is. And then getting that rinse probe changed out of there sometimes is real irritation. Inside here, when you disconnect these, when you go to disconnect these clamps to get this rinse manifold out of here, it makes a lot of sense to do the inner one. Then you could use this whole thing and pull out together. And once it's disconnected, you can pull the whole thing out, and you could disconnect the other one outside of the machine and not have to torture yourself getting this thing out, because it could be real irritating to get it out depending on your circumstance. A lot of times you're in a situation where you're in the front half of the house. The machines are sometimes located up in the front or in generally bad locations, and it can be real irritating to get all this stuff out of there. So here's the rinse manifold removed. That's where the rinse probe goes. Real common replacement is to take this little guy out of here with the 7/16. You could just scooch us a wrench in there and just remove that, you know, just disconnect it and replace it. A lot of times guys make the mistake of putting Teflon tape when they put it back in there. It's a tapered and threaded. You could put a little pipe dope in there, but you don't want to put Teflon tape because the Teflon tape expands as it goes in, and it snaps it cracks the housing. You start getting all kinds of leaks. And then to stop it, a lot of guys start putting more and more Teflon, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And that's when they walk away from it and hit the complete button. Don't be one of those guys. So we'll replace this thing with a new one.